Good morning to you all from Geneva. I'm delighted to address the opening of your conference on human rights and democracy, two sides of the same coin. And I would like to thank the Human Rights Centre at the University of Nottingham for giving me such an opportunity. Unfortunately, conflicting work commitments did not allow me to be with you in person. Today you will be discussing democracy and human rights, and will look at the way democratic rules and principles and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms are complied with through legislation, policies, and practice. National experiences prove that democratic deficits, weak or dysfunctioning state institutions, limited participation in decision-making, curtailment of fundamental freedoms, corruption and impunity are all major obstacles to the enjoyment of human rights. Likewise, the failure to respect human rights is a key impediment to the establishment of an effective democracy. The interdependence between democracy, development, and human rights was underscored by the international community in the Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action adopted at the World Conference on Human Rights in Vienna 20 years ago. In March last year, it was reaffirmed by the UN Human Rights Council in its first ever resolution on democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. In accordance with that resolution, my office submitted a study for the consideration of the Council at its present session on the common challenges facing states in their efforts to secure democracy and the rule of law from a human rights perspective. The study concludes that securing democracy is a continuous exercise. Challenges to democracy can arise in both settled democracies and states transitioning towards democracy. Human rights and the rule of law can be endangered in both contexts in different ways. These challenges can be manifested by the absence, interruption, or abridgment of democratic rules and processes. Democracy is rendered insecure by encroachments on human rights, the lack of empowerment opportunities for all, limits to participation, and poor or absent public debate. Moreover, democracy is challenged domestically and globally by weak or dysfunctional institutions, the erosion of the rule of law, poor leadership, violence, sectarianism, radicalism, extremism, terrorism, intolerance, corruption, and impunity. States are, of course, the ultimate guarantors of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and stakeholders, including universities and academics, play an absolutely crucial role in supporting, encouraging, and cajoling them to carry out their responsibilities to uphold democratic values and principles. A good constitution, which is in full accordance with international human rights standards, is part of the bedrock of democracy. Of the close to 200 national constitutions in existence today, more than half have been written or rewritten in the last 40 years. Perhaps the most important element of this process of constitutional, legislative, and institutional reform should be its inclusiveness. Bodies that are convened to write new constitutions should be representative and ideally should arise from free elections. There has been remarkable progress in terms of the number of states that have adopted democratic governance over the past 2 decades, mainly through the commitment to holding periodic elections. While this gives new hope and expectations to millions of people around the globe, the prospect of leading a fulfilling life free from fear and want remains elusive for millions who continue to suffer from injustice, war, poverty, social exclusion, and numerous forms of discrimination. Overcoming the impediments to democracy is a lengthy and difficult process, but when it produces results in the form of a freely and elected government and a functioning system of checks and balances with independent and accountable legislative, executive, and judicial institutions at its core, it is priceless. We are living in challenging times. Many people are striving to secure respect for their dignity, for justice, for equality, and for an adequate standard of living. The achievement of these precious goals requires a common understanding of international and national priorities, solidarity, and cooperation. These are also times of incredible opportunity for innovation and reform. I am convinced that using human rights principles as a compass will help in our efforts to improve global governance and, in turn, advance the human rights agenda. I wish you a fulfilling and stimulating day. Thank you.